Hello and welcome to another exciting adventure of Mother Nature's Mysteries with your host, Ranger Rob. Today, circa 2024, Ranger Rob is exploring and testing some alligator mysteries sent to him by a junior ranger. Now, these mysteries have been troubling mankind for, well, at least a while. Now let's check in with our ranger at his nature outpost at the Pink Shell Beach Resort in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, and find out what's the deal with these astonishing prehistoric critters.
Ahoy! I'm Ranger Rob. We're here at the Pink Shell Beach Resort and Marina at my nature outpost, and welcome to Mother Nature's Mysteries. It is time to feed Debbie, and then we're going to find out some of the cool stuff that we have washed up on the beach today. Oh, getting a call. Hey, Matthew, good morning.
Hey Ranger Rob, I'm working on a school project about alligators, but I'm finding a lot of myths and conflicting information. I need to know what's real and what's not, so I don't get an F.
No, I totally get it. That's a tough spot to be in. So what are you finding that is hard? What questions do you have specifically?
Yeah, I could really use your help. Here's what I need to know. First, are alligators on the beach? Second, will alligators attack you? And third, what makes alligators capable predators?
Got it. All right, I'm on it.
Thanks.
So Matthew has mysteries about alligators he needs solved. I could just call an alligator specialist. But where's the fun in that? Let's see if we can test these things for ourselves. One of the mysteries is, are alligators on beaches? We're already on a beach. Let's go look. Nope. 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 So we're here on the beach. I don't see any alligators, but I wouldn't be a very good scientist if I didn't figure out all the variables for here. So we got to find out if weather's a factor, if the type of water is a factor, which I suspect it may be. Salty. Even though we weren't able to find any alligators on the beach, there's plenty of shorebirds out and around here, and some really cool ones we don't get to see that often are black skimmers. And these black skimmers have a very extended long bill that skim right across the surface of the water, picking up little crustaceans and fish. They're amazing animals. And one myth that's out there about these guys, they're not a seagull, and there's no such thing as seagulls anywhere in the world. It's a general term. Although, if you're in the bay, they call them baygulls.
Well, I feel like I've learned all I can here on Estero Island, so I'm going to head over to the Jan Ding Darling Nature Preserve on Sanibel Island and meet up with an expert who has worked around these animals and teaching about them for many years. Hopefully I can learn some more.
Charles.
Hey Rob, how are you? Good to see you.
It's so good to see you again. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you.
So we're here at the Ding Darling Nature Preserve. This is Charles, and he has been here for a very long time. And we have a junior ranger who has reached out to me. Essentially, he's doing a project for school, and he's getting misinformation all over the place online. You know how the internet is. Yeah. So he's reached out to me to try to bust some of these mysteries about alligators. So you've been here for quite some time. How long have you been here?
Well, I came to work at the Sanibel Refuge, it was known back in 1958, and I served as refuge biologist for 32 years. And I've been retired for 34 years. They called me out of retirement to handle this situation for them.
Appreciate it. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad. We're trying to find out about gators and what they can do, what they can't do, where they're found, and just are they really a big threat here in Florida? So number one, I was just out on the beaches and I was looking, I didn't see any alligators on the beaches. Why is that?
Well, in the summertime you see alligators on the beach. Not frequently, but it does occur. During high water in the Sanibel Slough, they'll meander around and sometimes get in the Gulf.
Okay, now do they like the salt water?
They really don't mind short term. The American crocodile has salt purging glands on its tongue.
Okay.
So it can get rid of the excess body salts, but the alligator doesn't have those same glands, so it can't cope long term.
So you're more likely to see the gators in the swampier areas, whereas crocodiles, like this big girl behind us here, you would find them more in maybe both habitats even?
You find the alligator usually strictly in fresh water, slightly brackish water.
Okay.
And the crocodile can live in seawater or brackish water. They tend to live in a sort of an equilibrium between the two, not always pure seawater for long term,
Okay.
but they can for a considerable length of time.
Now, beachgoers coming to Florida, is a gator something they want to have on their mind when they go to the beach? Is this something they want to stay away from?
No. Like I said, it's very rare,
Sure.
and it's only short term.
Right.
And if people would just leave them alone, they'll go back into the fresh water. And I wouldn't be fearful of alligators at all unless they've been fed by humans and have learned to acquaint with humans and relate humans to food. That happens.
Well, Charles, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Charles invited us to come out here into the brackish water and freshwater ecosystem of Ding Darling. We didn't find them on any of the beaches. We haven't found them back here, but that doesn't mean they're not around. But I would say that finding alligators on the beach is pretty much not gonna happen. So I would say this mystery has been solved. All right, so we're not gonna find anything out here in the saltwater ecosystem, it seems. They just don't like it out here. They need fresh water. So I know I'm safe here. What if I go here? At the 6 Mile Cypress Slough, we are finally in a freshwater ecosystem. We've seen saltwater. They don't like the saltwater much. We've seen brackish water. Might be there, especially during a low tide when it's a little fresher. But we are now in a strictly freshwater ecosystem. So we're gonna go into the 6 Mile Cypress Slough on the trail they do their wet walks on and see if we have any luck. We're here deep in the 6 Mile Cypress Slough around beautiful bald cypress trees. And cypress trees are just incredible plants, and they create these slough habitats. And now a slough is moving water. This is a slow moving river essentially, unlike a swamp that is a little more stagnant, kind of gets absorbed by the earth over time. But I'm here looking for Rick, and he is the supervisor here at 6 Mile Cypress, and he just so happens to be an alligator biologist, and he might have some answers for Matthew's questions. So I've been looking for, oh, well, here he is now.
Hey, Ranger Rob.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, what you doing out here?
Oh, just doing some field work, you know, the usual.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for allowing us here in this just beautiful, what do you call this area?
We call this area the Cathedral because it's kind of an area along our wet walk trail where you really get baptized into the slough environment.
Literally.
Yes.
So essentially why I'm here is I have some mysteries I'm trying to debunk about alligators. We are kind of figuring out alligators don't like salt water. They're not going to be around there. We kind of found out sometimes they'll be in brackish water. Not always, but sometimes. But freshwater is where they're going to be. But we're here in freshwater, and I don't feel anxious about a gator. Why aren't there any gators here?
So 6 Mile Cypress is a pretty popular place to come see alligators, but when we do our wet walks, we usually have about 15 people. So that combined with the guides is about 20 people. So if you think about that, that's 40 legs, and it's like a 40-legged centipede moving through the water. And you can see even as I'm standing here talking to you, there's ripples on the water. And even if we're being perfectly silent, that reverberates throughout the ecosystem, and alligators don't want anything to do with any of us.
Wow. So is it safe to say that these alligators are only looking for something that they're familiar with? Like if they hear splashing from an animal drinking with its tongue, or like, you know, something that they're gonna identify with, then they're gonna come check it out.
Yeah, that's a pretty good representation of them. So alligators really like to eat things that are close to the ground. If you think about things like possums, raccoons, foxes, maybe the occasional deer or hog.
Okay.
But humans stand on 2 legs, we stand up in the water.
They do
So us being 2-3 feet out of the water, even though we're standing in 4 feet of water here, it looks like a very big animal to them.
Okay. So what are some things that if there were gators around us, because I don't see any here right now, not that they couldn't be, but let's say there were, what are some splashings or movements and things if I was alone that I would want to avoid?
Well, really, you don't have to worry so much about splashing. You just don't want to approach them.
Okay.
That's really when we get issues with people.
So alligators are something to respect, not fear.
Yes.
Just like about every other part of nature.
Yeah, just any way else that you respect any wildlife or the plants or even the weather, because that's also a serious concern down in Southwest Florida.
Good call. So I'm going to do a couple splashes to see if anybody comes around. So I'm trying to think of how these animals would react to different things. So an animal on the bank coming down to the water is going to lick and drink. So this is a sound you probably want to avoid. I don't see anybody coming. Now, kids swimming and playing and splashing. That's big, that's loud, that's probably not going to attract any gators. That's probably going to scare them away, because if anything, that's going to sound like a bigger gator if the gator doesn't see the kids actually doing it. So, like we were just saying, these animals are not going to approach you. It's when you approach them, it's when you come into their world. If you come up to a mama and her nest, they're good parents. She might do a display to scare you away, but she's only going to follow you for a couple of feet. So I'm gonna say that being in water like this, being in Florida, I'm gonna say this mystery is solved. We're not gonna have to worry about gators out here. You just gotta be aware of them and respect them very, very much. I have found some amazing resurrection fern. So alligators, crocodiles, caimans, these crocodilians, they're an ancient species. These animals have been around and their ancestors since the dinosaur times, some of them even before the dinosaur times. And a lot of the things that were ancient in this forest are still around too. This resurrection fern is absolutely amazing. It feels like we're in the Jurassic era. These ferns, when it is not raining and when it's really dry, they curl up and they turn brown and they die. And then as soon as it rains, they pop up and they get beautiful again and beautiful bright green. So it's just really, really neat to see this forest that makes you feel like you're going back in time with these ancient animals, even ancient plants all around this ecosystem. This whole place is worth fighting for and keeping safe. So it's really neat to find these kind of things while we're out here. So I've made my way to Pine Island, Florida, and I am meeting Adam with Adam's Animal Encounters. And Alligator Adam obviously has alligators, and we are gonna answer Matthew's final question about the alligator's eyesight and capabilities along with that. So let's go see what Adam's up to. Alligator Adam!
Ranger Rob!
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
My
Who do you
pleasure.
have?
This is Tuck, an American alligator.
How cool. So I got a message from one of my junior rangers, Matthew, and he has a report. He's trying to figure out some of the gators' pretty much abilities. He's getting a lot of myths and mysteries online that are kind of leading him in different directions. So what I'm trying to do is find out what's real with these gators. So really we're trying to find out, can they see color? Can they see well? Do they see at nighttime? What info do you have?
Well, alligators are understudied, so it's understandable that he struggled to find some information. But from what I've read, alligators have pretty good color vision. They might mistake reds and greens a little bit. They have more of a nearsighted, farsighted, not so great. But overall, they have really good sight.
So we're about to do some target training with different colored targets and see what their eyesight really is. Now you've been working with them a little bit. What do you expect to see? Do you expect them to see going after certain colors other than other colors, or any idea?
We've just been using the one color with target training. You want to stick with one color. They'll react to a few different colors, I would imagine. And the real reason that you do the target training is for your safety and the animals. You want them to associate the target as far as food goes. No target, no food.
Got it. Alligator Adam has been kind enough to bring out some of his juvenile alligators and even a baby alligator here, so we can test some of the ideas that I've had to see what their color sensitivity is. Now these little alligators, this isn't where they normally live, so it's a little different for them out here, but they've been working on being target trained. So these little gators, when they're this size, they're a prey item. They're eating maybe little bugs and insects. They're pretty much insectivores when they're younger. So we're a big predator to them. So we do want to keep that in mind, but let's see if they do any of these color strikes to any of these. So I'm gonna see, if you wanna hold one, I'm gonna hold two, and just see if he chooses any or how he reacts to either of these.
See if he gets scared of them.
Yeah.
Go pull one in front of him, see if...
He definitely sees it. I saw his body move. So not a big reaction with a lot of these, but every single time I have put red by this little gator, he does not like it. That is crazy.
Reds and greens, they can be colorblind as far as that goes, have trouble differentiating the two. Alligators have exceptional color vision, and that's because they are adapted to be out in the nighttime when there's really no light available. Colors are very hard to see using different rod and cone cells in your eyes. So a nocturnal adaptation they have is being able to absorb more light and use it, so they have incredible color vision because of it.
So after you do your target training, you give him a fish for the reward, correct?
Immediately after, as soon as he hits the target, immediately give him the fish. And the goal is to get them to, with no target, no food.
So some of the other things we're trying to figure out about these gators, not only with their vision, but their capabilities as far as running and climbing.
They're relatively good climbers. They can climb chain link fences, things like that. The regulations to keep them requires 2 fences, actually, an interior and exterior. The exterior fence being 8 feet tall. So an 8-foot fence, I guess, would be tough for them.
Mama gators, we found out over on Ding Darling that they're good parents. So what do? We're against this mama. She starts coming at us. Are we gonna zigzag to get away? Do we climb a tree? What's the best thing to do?
So it's a very unique reptile trait to offer parental care, and crocodilians do offer that. She will protect her babies maybe 10 to 15 feet away. So as long as you can give that nest enough space, you should be safe as far as it goes. Alligators run 30 miles an hour. They will catch you or the fastest Olympian out there.
Wow. Now, zigzagging is zigzagging. That's just a myth, right? That's just a mystery that people say zigzag to get away. That's not accurate.
I've heard it a lot. Be skeptical of where your information comes from, but I've never tested it myself, so I can't say for sure that it is a myth.
All right, we're gonna have to test my abilities versus the gator's speed, but I'm gonna need to suit up first. I'm ready. So alligators can run up to 20 miles per hour in a straight line for short bursts. So the mystery is, do I zigzag to get away from them or do I run straight? We're gonna time it and see what's faster. All right, so we've seen how fast I can run. It took me this long to run in a straight line, and it took me this long to run zigzag. If an alligator can cross just as much speed going 20 miles per hour, I definitely don't want to zigzag. I want to run in a straight line. So I'm going to say this mystery is solved. We want to run straight if we're trying to get away from a gator. I think we have enough information. It's time to get back to the nature outpost, report back to Matthew. Let's get it. All right, what an adventure we have had. Made it back to the nature outpost. Time to check in with Matthew and let him know all the mysteries we have solved. Ahoy, Matthew, how you doing, bud?
Hey, Ranger Rob. Did you solve all of the mysteries?
I sure did, and you weren't kidding. There was a lot of misconceptions and mysteries about these animals out there. So, number one, are they on the beaches? Not likely. These animals don't like salt water, primarily freshwater, maybe rarely. Number two, you wanted to know if they're dangerous. I went all over different habitats in Florida, saltwater, freshwater, and brackish, and they are not a threat. Are they out there? 100%. Do you want to respect them? Oh yeah, but they are not a threat. Which brings me to my capabilities and their capabilities. I ran okay, running about 50 yards to 100 yards or so, but a gator can run much quicker, and they can go up to 20 miles per hour. So even if you zigzag, which slowed me down dramatically, you gotta run in a straight line quick. They can't run very far at those speeds, so you wanna run straight line to get away. Also, they can climb really well. I tried to climb a fence to see if I could beat the speed of a gator climbing a fence, just barely, if that. So they are good climbers, so don't try to climb a tree to get away, just run straight line to get away from their area. And as far as their eyesight, they have amazing eyesight. They can see daylight, nightlight, movement, no movement. They have good hearing. These animals are excellent predators. I hope that helps you out, bud.
Thanks, Ranger Rob. This is going to help me so much with my school project.
My pleasure. Now, please let me know how you do. Let me know what the teacher says, and I'll talk to you later. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Holy cow, did we learn a lot. A lot of people out there know so much. A lot of them more than they should. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Did you notice how much I learned from other people? Truly, that is the best way to save our planet. Learning, educating, and teaching each other. Just like the great Bill Nye says, everyone you meet knows something you don't. So thanks for tuning in. I'm your personal naturalist, Ranger Rob, signing off.
Well, I think we found out what was astonishing with those prehistoric critters down on Fort Myers Beach, Florida. Tune in next week for another exciting adventure of Mother Nature's mysteries with Ranger Rob, your personal naturalist.